Today, we're going to the very center of the Earth. No, not with a drill, not with an elevator, simply by falling. Imagine a perfectly straight tunnel leading all the way to the Earth's center. The moment you step into the void, there's no turning back. Gravity immediately begins pulling you downward. First, you leave the soil behind. Then you descend through layers of solid rock stretching for kilometers beneath the surface. With every meter you fall, you get closer to the center of the Earth. There's no way to stop now. You're falling straight toward the center of the planet, and what awaits you on this journey is far more terrifying than you could ever imagine. Most people think the first thing that would kill them is the heat. But they're wrong, because science tells a very different story. The fall has begun. For the first few seconds, nothing feels unusual. Everything around you still seems familiar: soil, rock, and the massive formations that have rested beneath our feet for millions of years. But that feeling doesn't last for long. After only a few kilometers, everything begins to change. Because the inside of the Earth isn't a giant hollow cavern filled with fire, as many people imagine. Quite the opposite. With every meter you descend, your surroundings become more unlike anything you've ever seen on the surface. And this is only the beginning. You're still at the very start of your journey. Yet without even realizing it, you've already passed the deepest point humanity has ever reached. In 1970, the Soviet Union launched one of the most ambitious scientific projects in history in an attempt to reach the Earth's interior. It was called the Kola Superdeep Borehole. After years of drilling, the deepest point they reached was about 12.2 kilometers. At first, that sounds incredibly impressive. But compared to the roughly 6,371 kilometers separating the Earth's surface from its center, it was little more than scratching the surface. We've already gone far beyond that point. And the world waiting below is a place no human has ever seen. In fact, you're still inside the Earth's crust. That may come as a surprise because most people assume that after descending just a few kilometers, they've already reached the planet's deep interior. But the reality is very different. Beneath the continents, the Earth's crust is about 35 kilometers thick on average. That means even the Kola Superdeep Borehole never managed to drill all the way through it. To this day, humanity has never gone beyond the Earth's crust. But you keep falling, and in just a moment, you'll reach the largest layer of our planet. A few kilometers later, you reach the end of the Earth's crust. And finally, an entirely new layer appears before you. This is the Earth's mantle. Stretching for nearly 2,900 kilometers, it makes up the largest layer of our planet. At first, you might imagine it's nothing more than a vast ocean of molten rock. But once again, the reality is very different. The first thing you notice is that you're still surrounded by solid rock. Most people expect to find an enormous sea of molten magma at this depth. But that's not what the mantle is like. Despite its extreme temperatures, the immense pressure above, it keeps most of the mantle solid. That doesn't mean these rocks are standing still, though. In fact, these gigantic masses of rock are constantly moving. You just could never notice it, because this movement doesn't happen over seconds or minutes. It takes millions of years. Think of an incredibly thick paste slowly flowing. That's exactly how the mantle moves, gradually shifting over vast stretches of time. And it's this slow, invisible motion that drives the continents, builds mountains, and fuels the volcanoes on Earth's surface. As you continue falling, the temperature rises dramatically. You've already passed several hundred degrees. The deeper you go, the temperature climbs into the thousands. Yet the rocks surrounding you still don't melt completely. The immense pressure keeps forcing them to remain solid. On one side, unimaginable heat. On the other, crushing pressure. The Earth's mantle exists because of the delicate balance between these two extraordinary forces. After traveling nearly 2,900 kilometers, you're approaching the end of the mantle. And then, the world around you changes once again. This time, it's not just the rocks that are different. The entire layer has changed. Because you've finally reached the Earth's outer core. Nothing here resembles the layers you've passed through so far. For the first time, the rocks around you disappear completely. In their place lies a vast ocean of liquid metal heated to thousands of degrees. Made primarily of molten iron and nickel, this is the Earth's outer core. Ahead of you stretches nearly 2,200 kilometers of this enormous metallic ocean, and you continue falling straight through it. But this liquid metal isn't standing still. Driven by the Earth's rotation and the extreme temperature differences deep within the core, is constantly in motion. As millions of tons of molten iron flow endlessly beneath your feet, something extraordinary is created. The Earth's magnetic field. The invisible shield that protects our planet from the sun's harmful charged particles exists because this gigantic ocean of liquid metal never stops moving. But the journey isn't over yet. You're approaching the end of this vast metallic ocean, and once again, everything around you begins to change. This time, what awaits you isn't liquid. It's an enormous sphere of solid iron, compressed back into a solid state by unimaginable pressure, the Earth's inner core. At first, you might think this is a mistake. After all, the temperature here reaches between 5,000 and 6,000 degrees Celsius, almost as hot as the surface of the sun. At temperatures like these, it's only natural to assume that iron should be completely molten. But deep inside the Earth, the rules are different. The pressure above you is so immense, millions of times greater than the atmospheric pressure at Earth's surface, that it forces the iron to remain solid despite the extreme heat. You've now reached the exact center of the Earth. You're standing at the heart of a gigantic iron sphere with a radius of about 1,220 kilometers. At this point, the concepts of up and down no longer exist. The Earth's mass is pulling on you equally from every direction at the same time. This is the one place where the net force of gravity is effectively zero. But here's the fascinating part. Your journey doesn't actually end here. The moment you reach the Earth's exact center, there's no longer a single direction pulling you downward. Carried by the momentum you've built up during your fall, you begin moving toward the opposite side of the planet. If air resistance and every other form of friction could somehow be eliminated, you could theoretically travel back and forth through the Earth forever. But in the real world, that isn't possible. As you move through the planet, you gradually lose energy until you eventually slowed to stop, not where your journey began, but at the very center of the Earth. Perhaps no human will ever reach the Earth's core. But even taking this journey in our imagination is enough to reveal just how extraordinary our planet truly is. If there's another question you'd like us to explore, let us know in the comments. It might even become the topic of a future video. If you'd like to keep exploring with us, consider subscribing to the channel and giving this video a like. See you in the next one.